Good morning.
Good morning.
Wait, good morning?
Good morning.
Welcome to Beacon. My name is Tuli Patel, and I am so honored to invite you into this faith community, this liberal religious faith community that's been meeting, just like we are meeting, since 1907. That's 119 years. And you're going to hear more about it from Dana, who's going to tell you lots of stories about it. Happy Mother's Day to everybody. Happy Mothering Day to everybody. Happy Nurturing Day. All of us are engaged in acts of mothering. You don't have to be a mother to be wished on Mother's Day. And may everything that we nurture and encourage grow to its fullest potential. We are members of the Unitarian Universalist Association, and as such, we covenant to uphold 6 Unitarian Universalist values, as well as our mission statement to be radically inclusive, to feed the human spirit, and heal the world. If you're joining us online today, hello everybody, and won't you take a moment to say your name in the chat and engage with each other so that we can build community. Virtually is also community. A few quick announcements. The first is next Sunday is our coming of age service, where our 9th graders step into the pulpit. We literally give it over to them, and they share with us their belief statements. After the coming of age service, we head downstairs, where we will be celebrating Reverend Robin's 10 years with us. Now, she doesn't like to talk about it. She wants to keep it very low-key, but we're not going to do that, right? We're going to make some noise! We're going to make some noise. And there is a gift for her, and I have to be a little cryptic about it because I'm pretty sure she'll be watching today, which she does on her Sundays off just to make sure that everything's going okay. It's going okay, Robin. So I'm going to be a little cryptic about it, but there is a gift for her, and if you would like to sign your name to the card, then find Dana. Where did Dana go? Oh, Dana switched seats behind me. Find Dana downstairs, and she'll get your names onto the card. After Reverend Robin's celebration at 1 o'clock is one-day choir up here in the sanctuary. So we finish coming of age, we go downstairs, we have a celebration, we have a meal, you'll be fed, and then you come back upstairs for one-day choir. And guess what? The magic of one-day choir is anybody can attend, even me. You don't have to be a singer. I'm not a singer.
Everyone's a singer.
Whoa. Okay, I guess I'll have to try that. I will be there at One Day Choir. And One Day Choir is a way to prep you for the afternoon music concert, where you will not be invited to sing. But that's on May 31st. And to tell us a little bit more about it is Marilyn Faltz, who's going to come forward, do a little twirl, and tell us a little bit more about afternoon music. Go ahead, Marilyn.
Well, on May 31st, we are having our 4th and last afternoon music concert, and you will love it. The tantalizing title is From Brahms to Tango. Just imagine what that will be. A fabulous afternoon with 4 people, 3 from the Philharmonic, 1 of whom went through the Summit schools, graduated from the high school, went to Juilliard, and has been over 20 years in the Philharmonic with the cello. So mark that on your calendars. It's going to be a fabulous afternoon, not to be missed.
Thank you, Marilyn. And with that, I invite you all to take a deep breath, get comfortable, center yourselves, close your eyes for just a second if you need to, and bring yourself fully to the sacred hour of worship together.
Good morning, Beacon. My name is Missy Rodgers. I will be your worship associate today, she, her pronouns. Our chalice words today, as we light our chalice, a symbol of our faith, come from Lao Tzu. If there is to be peace in the world, there must be peace in the nations. If there is to be peace in the nations, there must be peace in the cities. There must be peace between neighbors. There must be peace in the home. If there is to be peace in the home, there must be peace in the heart.
Good morning, my name is Missy and I'm the Director of Music Ministry. So nice to be here with you and with our guitarist today, who is Jack Buratczuk. Thank you very much for being here. He's a student at William Patterson in jazz, and can't say how grateful I am that you're here today playing. The first song we're going to do is 1023. Now, if you look in the lower left hand, there's always some details about who wrote the song. In this case, it came out of the Greenham Common Peace Movement. That started in 1981 as a demonstration against the nuclear weapons being stored there. And it lasted for 19 years. 70,000 women were involved, living there, protesting there, and it actually remains the world's longest running anti-nuclear demonstration. So I invite you to rise and embody your spirit, and we will sing this song that came out of that peace movement, Building Bridges. Building bridges between our divisions. I reach out to you. Will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony. Building bridges between our divisions. I reach out to you. Will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony. Let's do it one more time. Building bridges between our divisions. I reach out to you. Will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony.
Good morning, Beacon. Good morning. Happy Mother's Day, happy Mothering Day, and all of those wonderful accolades that come with the gift of being a revolutionary mother. I use those words from Alexis Pauline Gumbs as we think about revolutionary mothering, and I want to share with you possibly one of the moments that allows for us to discuss somewhat of our history around Julia Ward Howe and her work towards a Mother's Day, if you will. And she was a Unitarian, and she was indeed a mother. And she was very sick and tired of the country taking young men and sending them off to war. And so her efforts in this case were to bring awareness that our young men at the time, our youth, our families need to take the moment to acknowledge what was brought into their life. She says the following: "Arise, arise, women of this day. Arise, all women whose hearts, whether baptized to be by water or of fear." This is how she begins to declare, and you'll hear more of that, of the extension of this excerpt later. But I want to take the moment in this time for all ages, if I may, to actually get us to think about some of these amazing qualities. Even if we have some tensions, maybe we found some qualities of nurture for ourselves. Mother's Day can be challenging, and it can be a blessing for some. Whichever it is, we always tend to find a way to get to the mothering that we need. I do believe that. And I wonder if we can just put in the air a few qualities that resonate for us. that we offered tenderness to ourselves. Please.
Consistency.
Laughter. Selflessness. Love. Patience.
Kindness.
Food.
Yes. Warmth. Inspiration. Well, as we think about those things and hold those things, I will say that one of the most powerful qualities that we do see in the story of Julia Howe is that she focuses on offering us a mothering quality, one that is both fierce, devoted, gentle, strong, and it's always committed, especially in this tradition, to making sure that mothering can happen anywhere, anytime, in any given moment. So I thank you for that, and I will close this session with one last excerpt by Frances Ellen Harper, who says the following, a little bit more gut-wrenching, I promise you. Not like I want to read something too gut-wrenching, but it is so happen to be the thing. Ye who have laid your love to rest and wept above their lifeless clay, know how the anguish of that breast whose loved are rudely torn away. Ye may not know how desolate our bosoms rudely forced to part, and how a dull and heavy weight will press the life drops from the heart. If we listen carefully, we can also hear the tension of the loss of life, and how, in this case, Frances is really dealing with pointing out the real horrors of also absence of mothering. And so let us hold both these two in dialogue, maybe in a bit of tension, maybe in a bit of liberation, if we can find it in it, as we engage this thought. That is your time for all ages. Thank you.
Morning, Beacon. My name is Adam Gonerman. My pronouns are he, him, and for those who need a visual, I'm a bald, middle-aged white man wearing a gray and black polo shirt and blue jeans. Diane Johnson said that a chaplain's biggest gift is to be present and just listen. Simple enough, that's what we do as chaplains. I'm wearing a maroon stole, which I don't just wear as a fashion statement. It's to indicate that I am a chaplain here for Beacon, and I'm present here today to hear what people have to say. If people have anything to share after the service or even during the service, I'll be in the back. We're lay leaders with special training who walk alongside people in difficult moments and meaningful moments. Our core roles are to listen, to offer care, and to be present when things feel heavy. We're also present for joys, milestones, and celebrations. So if there's anything you want to celebrate in your life right now that you want to talk to somebody about, a child being born, a new job, anything like that, you can share that with me after the service as well. Our care is not limited to Sunday mornings. We're available anytime for conversation or support, and we are always open and accessible to anyone who needs us. You can find out more about what we do by either approaching me after the service, or you can actually go through the Beacon website under Ministries, and it says Congregational Care. It's the very first option. There's a place in there where you can request to speak with a chaplain. We can do that by phone or in person, depending on the situation. And everything we share in this conversation is held in confidence. It's a safe, non-judgmental space. We also have this weekly ritual that we carry out that nurtures our collective spirit, a sacred, reverent moment of lighting these candles, making space for struggles, and making space for hopes. So we have a few candles to light today, several actually. One, we light a candle for protesters and advocates alike fighting the racial gerrymandering in Tennessee. On Thursday, a new congressional map was put into place that allows Republicans to flip the state and disenfranchise black voters. May our opportunity for a fair voting system and democracy be restored. The couple, Isidoro Gonzalez Aviles and Norma Anabel Ramirez Amaya, reunited with their son Kevin Gonzalez Saturday evening in Durango, Mexico. Kevin Gonzalez, who has terminal colon cancer, has been reunited with their parents a day after they were released from a Department of Homeland Security detention facility in Arizona. We acknowledge the 8 children killed in the Cedar Grove mass shooting and pray for the parents and families who are faced with the senseless killing of their children. May this experience draw more attention to the continuous state of gun laws in this country. We will never forget you, Jayla, Shayla, Kayla, Layla, Markadon, Saraya, Kadarian, and Braylon. We acknowledge this past week and following upcoming weeks as many undergraduate and graduates complete their degrees and walk across the stage into future of possibilities. We light a candle for those affected by war, those who suffer, those who have been displaced, and those who live in fear, that they may find safety and peace. And we light a candle for those who provide mothering care for others, whether you have the title of mother or not. We invite you to join in this ritual, whether here in our sanctuary or there in your own space at home, by lighting a candle of your own, a symbol of hope, solidarity, and care for one another.
I'm going to ask our 2 ushers to come to the front. As y'all see, it is a very full space, so we're just trying to make sure that we do things really calmly and decently. And so I've got Jeff with me and I've got Maureen. They're going to split and start from the back. Please follow their instruction to move. Okay, I know we have agency, but I want to create safety. Okay, it is fire, y'all. Thank you. Thank you for holding your seats. Awesome. Yep, then y'all come to the front. During this time, I ask that we just meditate.
showing seeds of gladness. Days are breaking in my soul. Oh, where are our dear fathers? Oh, where are our dear fathers? They are in the fields a-plowing. Days are breaking in my soul.
Thank you, Misa. So Julia Ward Howe, as you heard earlier, Unitarian. This is the full text of the Mother's Day Proclamation written in 1870. The words are beautiful, they're a little dated, but I'll try and go slow because they're worth paying attention to. Arise, arise, all women who have hearts, whether your baptism be that of water or of tears. Say firmly, we will not have great questions decided by irrelevant agencies. Our husbands shall not come to us reeking with carnage for caresses and applause. Our sons shall not be taken from us to unlearn all that we have been able to teach them of charity, mercy, and patience. We women of one country will be too tender of those of another country to allow our sons to be trained to injure theirs. From the bosom of the devastated earth, a voice goes up with our own. It says, disarm, disarm. The sword is not the balance of justice. Blood does not wipe out dishonor, nor violence indicate possession. As men have often forsaken the plow and the anvil at the summons of war, let women now leave all that may be left of home for a great and earnest day of council. Let them meet first, as women, to bewail and commemorate the dead. Let them then solemnly take counsel with each other as to the means whereby the great human family can live in peace, each learning after his own time the sacred impress, not of Caesar, but of God. In the name of womanhood and humanity, I earnestly ask that a General Congress of Women without limit of nationality may be appointed and held at some place deemed most convenient and at the earliest possible period consistent with its objects, to promote the alliance of different nationalities, the amicable settlement of international questions, the great and general interests of peace. Here ends our reading.
Okay, again, I'm Nancy Griffith, an old white woman, she, her.
I'm Bill Griffin, older, white man, he, him. Nancy and I were living in Hyde Park, Chicago, when we decided to marry. We needed someone to officiate. Had we been more curious, we would have found the First Unitarian Church of Chicago and Meadville Lombard Seminary in our own neighborhood. 17 years later, we realized that our lack of curiosity had cost us and our children the support of a UU community like Beacon, in which we would have been free to follow our own spiritual paths and contribute our time, talents, and resources. Years after we moved to New Jersey, our friend Bruce Naylor invited us to a service at the Unitarian Church in Summit, where, surprisingly, we connected with people from other parts of our lives, including the peace movement. We became involved in the religious education program and in several other areas. Our children also benefited from AYS, the predecessor of OWL.
And one of my favorite services of the year is the Coming of Age service, which, don't forget, it's next week. It's great. I particularly value the fact that there are kindred souls here who are also eager to work on social justice issues. We are well organized for action on social justice, but it's also easy to get ad hoc cooperation with a social justice initiative during coffee hour. You may remember I was just recruiting people to write postcards for Make Polluters Pay, Bill. And if anyone would like a postcard, just let me know.
Once, when teaching in RE, the class, The Church Across the Street, Dick Cody, John Millspaw, and I decided that for Catholicism, we would build a confessional and invite the children one by one to try confessing. Well, you can imagine the things that they said would be quite surprising.
I also find Robin's sermons inspiring and helpful. I appreciate the inspiration, but more than that, her sermons provide spiritual guides to how to keep your spirit and courage up. That's especially important in these dreadful times. When all is said and done, the most important thing here to me is community, the friends that I've had for years and the new friends that I'm making now. How interesting people are at Beacon, how talented and how kind. And how delighted we are that our daughter and her family have joined the Second Unitarian Church in Chicago.
Well, I'm amazed by how fascinating Beacon memorial services are. I always come away wishing I'd known the deceased member better.
So, don't wait for members' memorial services to get to know them. So take advantage of coffee hour and join a committee or the choir.
Okay.
And our offertory today is being played by Maya Kimball, one of Beacon's youth. What a wonderful world.
Thank you, Maya. What a wonderful world where we can encourage such gifts and receive them in community. Good morning, beloveds. My name is Dana Moore. I use she, her pronouns. I have dark hair, dark glasses, and a bright smile on my face. For today is a wonderful day. One of those days where we get to center and remember. We get to acknowledge mothers and parents. By the way, non-binary Parent Day was April 19th. If you didn't get a chance to celebrate then, I encourage you to do it today, or tomorrow, or any day, because as our UU liturgical calendars show us, we don't need a federally memorialized day to celebrate, do we? No. But we do take these days to celebrate or mourn. We can and often do mourn the relationships we didn't have with our mothers, missed having, or can no longer have. Loss and grief have a way of seeping into even these traditionally joyous days. But I can think of more than just a few occasions when Mother's Day was absolutely not about bouquets and brunches and flowers with the like a mother, surrogate mother, thank you for stepping in to be my mother, mothers. What a wonderful history we also share. There are voices and stories that stretch far back, and today we can still hear their call forward. Sometimes these calls come through words or songs or the children. In my head, the words of Frances Ellen Watkins Harper, who did not experience slavery herself, but would not let us forget what it feels like to have a child ripped from your arms. This is happening today, in our past and our present. I think of stories like that of Julia Ward Howe, who, although is most famously remembered for the Battle Hymn of the Republic, and secondly, the Mother's Day Proclamation, which we heard, Julia actually began her idea of Mother's Day as a social justice initiative, a humanitarian call to preserve life, for women to gather and bring their wisdom to the forefront. And so I wonder, what did the mothers know that our country did not listen to? Our first idea of Mother's Day was for social justice, although they may not have used those exact terms at the time, right? But what do we call the leader of a work who recognizes a disparity amongst the most marginalized in their communities and then works to impact it, to correct it? Anne Reeves made her home in the Appalachian Mountains of Virginia, where the infant mortality rate was the highest in the nation. Her original day of mothering was to serve those women and children in her community. She rounded up other mothers, doctors, and medical professionals. She held workshops and classes to teach about hygiene, nutrition, and basic infant and toddler care. She inspired her daughter, Anna Jarvis, to found Mother's Day in memoriam to her. Anne had envisioned a Mother's Day of work, a Mother's Work Day to improve health, sanitation, and community. And she went on to organize Mothers' Friendship Days as well, giving women the opportunity to voice and bring to the forefront the messages that were so important. Her Mothers' Friendship Days helped to reconcile soldiers from both sides of the Civil War in their times. Julia and Anne were seeking peace. These words and deeds of our ancestors, spiritual and otherwise, call to us from long ago, bringing forth a continued and common lesson. Preserve and care for human life. Lean toward peace. And these stories, like the one Jay told, have been shared over and over again. They become part of our shared history, even right here in Beacon. Because when we claim spiritual ancestors like that of Frances Ellen Watkins Harper, a story you may have learned in Connecting at Beacon, when we claim these spiritual ancestors, we honor their work, and we move forward the work they could not finish. So what did the mothers know? The mothers knew that gathering meant power. The mothers knew that gathering, whether baptized by water or tears, gave them time and space to heal. Our spiritual Unitarian Universalist ancestors, especially the women, often come to water. It is how our water communions began. Women engaged in social justice efforts, bringing together people for generations, hoping their lessons live beyond them. I believe there was a lesson that lived far beyond a mother, and it happened right here in this sanctuary. At the time, this congregation was called the Unitarian Church of Summit. Before that, All Souls Unitarian Church. We've gone through many evolutions, and how many of you remember those transitions of names and values and why we choose to use different words and different languages? Our beloved minister, the Reverend Dr. Frank Carlton Doan, used his words and voice in the most courageous and brave way that we could think of at the time. It was during World War I when America had finally joined in the fight. And not everyone was for this war. There were many that opposed. In fact, 65,000 men at the time opposed the war and leaned into conscientious dissent, claiming themselves as pacifists who do not believe in the harm of other people and would not engage in the war. They did find other ways to engage. Ordinary working people, the movement of labor drew in more people. The war at the time produced some interesting groups who we now today might call the FBI or CIA. But with so many people opposing the war, this was dangerous for our government. They knew that these voices rising could mean a problem, and so the American Protective League was formed. formed to witness people, investigate, and find out what was going on in the trenches. Employers were quick to dismiss any employees who spoke out against the war. Funding was pulled. People were scared. Does any of this sound familiar? Our own Reverend Doane described himself as a pacifist. And on one 1917 Sunday morning, Reverend Doane gave a sermon expressing his views, leaning into his right of conscience, maybe drawing on the lessons we learn as children to care for one another, to be kind to one another, not to cause harm. And though this congregation did not agree, many were for the war. They held up Doane's right of conscience to be a pacifist and be a minister here. Now I'm going to tell you a bit of a story. And again, I want you to hold this because we bring these stories forward, and these are the stories our children will continue to tell. The United States had adopted a draft of a law that established the right of conscientious objection, in which someone who is drafted tells the government they cannot serve for religious or other reasons. Again, 65,000 men claimed this status as conscientious objectors and refused to serve in the military at all or sought out other forms of service, non-combative service, civilian roles. There was a frenzy around patriotism, and that American Protective League was snooping around. Reverend Doane knew that he was being investigated. He gave a powerful sermon and urged and encouraged this congregation to remove war as a tool of progress. He was asked to redact that sermon. It's posted in a 1917 paper on that Monday. And rather than fight with the congregation and struggle, rather than bring unnecessary chaos and investigation into these doors, Reverend Doane issued his resignation. You will find right outside these doors on the left a plaque and resolution of the Board of Trustees of this congregation in 1917 that absolutely rejects Reverend Doane's resignation. This congregation knew that whether we were having the same views or different, that each person had a right to conscience and to act and move in integrity. And they supported that right for Reverend Doane. We continue to do this work of pacifism, of understanding, of staying in the conversation when our ideas differ. This is how we progress and move toward the transformation we hope for in the world. Like Frances Ellen Watkins Harper, the pain of war and lack of peace left a burning hole in her heart. She lived at the same time as Julia Ward. And just years later, Anne and Anna went to work. Anna eventually having this day, Mother's Day, memorialized in honor of her mother and encouraged people to write heartfelt notes of appreciation to their mothers, not cards of the industry that we know today. these ladies helped and moved in our community. They gathered in their own powers to do the hard work of discernment and listening, of loving one another. Not knowing which side we fall on when it comes to war is common. There are things happening that we are against. There are things that we are unsure about. But I ask you, friends, where do you fall on that line? How do we move forward in these times of struggle and grief when we have beloveds being bombed strategically so they cannot get rest? When funding is pulled for aid in countries beyond, our ancestors cried out for peace. They were clear that we do not raise our children to harm other children. Whether baptized by water or tears, a mother knows the pain of loss. A mother knows that deep love for humanity. As Reverend Jay said, mothers curate culture and bring it forward. And this is what our ancestors ask of us in many different ways, in many different words. So how do we know, friends, who to follow, when, and where? Would you have been on that bridge with Martin Luther King? Would you be fighting for peace and pacifism? Would you have taken up against the war and shouted louder, knowing where it brings us today? Many believe pacifism and peace to be a light word, not having enough grit and teeth into the reality of the world that we live in. But I don't believe peace only means playing nice and being kind. I believe our ancestors called us to a peace of transformation, of peace that comes when we are focused on it, when our work is no longer war, but the health of the earth, but the care of our children. What is possible when we take our resources from these things that hurt our fellow humans and redirect them to reproductive care and research, so that we know more and learn how to care for one another more deeply? What does it look like when those resources are redirected to the environmental care that we are working for, to the climate justice that we are marching for? This is what is possible when peace is possible. To have peace in our hearts, we must have peace in the world. So how do we journey there together, friends? It is by leaning into the values that we share, the ones we teach our children in story and song, the ones we recite each week, citing love as the center and foundation of our faith, lifting justice, equity, and transformation as values, lifting generosity and pluralism, the interconnectedness of each person, knowing that we all hurt, but we all have a call. What is the voice of the past asking you to bring forward? How will you journey towards spiritual wholeness in our efforts to dismantle oppressions of all kinds? I don't know the answer to these questions. I struggle every day hearing news about the war, how devastating it is, but what I do know is that I will follow love. Love asks for peace. Love asks us to remember the humanity of each of our beloveds. And love calls loudly for us to follow. It is my hope that we take up that journey and follow love together. Amen.
Would you please rise and body your spirit, and we'll sing Where You Go, I Will Go. Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. And your people are my people. Your people are mine. Your people are my people. You're divine, my divine. And your people are my people. Your people are mine. Your people are my people. You're divine, my divine. Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. And your people are my people. Your people are mine. Your people are my people. You're divine, my divine. You're divine. You're divine, my divine. You're divine. You're divine, my divine.
Let us take this moment to fill our lungs with love and share by taking one another's hand. Grateful for the mothers brave enough to pull forward our history and send it forward. These words come from Dr. Tuli Patel. May we do the hard work of discernment and listening, of loving one another enough to hear our faith emerge in each other's voices and be unrelenting in our resolve to protect and preserve our collective humanity. May it be so. May we go forth in love.